Just a quick overview of the tools that you're going to need. Starting with the jack. Going to need a cutoff wheel of some kind. I went to Harbor Freight, picked that up for 20 bucks I believe, and then these were like 10 bucks. I'm going to try and do it all with the smaller one that I already have and try and return that. If you have an air compressor, you know, you use the air compressor for the grind off wheel. If not, just go pick this up at Harbor Freight or wherever you feel like buying it. You'll need a panel popper probably. Definitely need a pencil, some kind of marking stuff like a marker, pencil, whatever, measuring tape, and a big ass hammer. They recommend panel pliers. I don't have those, so I'm just going to use whatever I got. Gonna need a drill and drill bits, obviously. Breaker bar to take off your tire. A ton of sockets and all the other stuff you might need. Heat gun is part of the instructions, and that's a caulking gun. You will need some, they don't mention too much in the instructions, but you need some seam sealer. This is from 3M. It says right here on the bottom 3M, so it is a 3M product. It's seam sealer, part number right there. It's about $15 plus tax, so it was not cheap getting that, but that will keep rust and stuff out of it. You could spray paint it. I'm not going to. I'm just going to cover everything that I cut and open up with some sealer. So that's the rundown on the tools. It's a big job, so good luck. Alright, first step to the fender flares, you got to remove your tire. Alright, the next step you're going to do, you're going to have to take off this bottom trim here and this piece here. So let's go ahead and take these 3 screws out. Okay, to get to the screw here without taking your tire off, I just went ahead and used some channel locks and a Phillips bit there. And it's really easy to get to it. There you go. Okay, now I got to open the doors up. Let's take these tabs out here. This one's already missing. I'm just going to use a flathead screwdriver to get it out. Go. That's what it looks like here. Nothing special. Now this thing just kind of slides off since everything's unbolted on it. There we go, completely off now. Can't wait to see what the other side looks like. It's going to be bad. Side's nice and clean. It's actually painted, so hopefully, you know, after a wash it comes out good. For this side, oops, yeah, that's going to show. It's going to be a nice big gouge in there. Whatever, you know, 4x4. Alright, next up is to remove this piece. This is where some panel pliers might come in handy. That was really easy, you don't need panel pliers. Next up is to remove the factory splash guard here. There's so many fasteners that go wrong here. It's not that difficult. It's pretty easy. Just gotta look at them. So that's what you're pulling off. That's why it's nice to have a nice pair of panel poppers. Gets in there really easy, pops them off. They like to argue with you a little bit. As you can see here, my tire is eating away at most of it. This has been off before. Alright, now that's off there. Okay, according to the instruction, this shitty little foam piece, you're just supposed to shove back up in here for sound dampening. So, there it goes, I guess. Right on. Okay, so the next step is to loosen the front bumper. My bumper's been ripped off in the snow, so it comes off pretty easily. There's only literally these 2 bolts that hold it on. There's that one, and the other one already took off, so. Alright, so now I'm going to start marking out all the lines. I want a line here. Then it wants you to take a measuring tape. Let's go 2 inches in here. Mark that one. 2 inches in from the bottom down here. Got that one marked. Then it wants you to make a line about 2 1/4 inches above this line right here. Give myself a reference there. Check it. About 2 inches in. Yep. Make sure that line's about 2 inches throughout. Alright. Alright, this next bit, I'm going to start from this upper line here and measure in 10.5 inches. And about right there. Okay, so now I want you to hold your fender flare up as a guide.
Unlike the rear, the measurements and the cuts do not have to be super perfect. In the corner here, you should put in a few more cuts to make the bending easier. The pencil I'm using is actually eyeliner for my girlfriend's makeup stuff, and it's really easy to wipe off the paint if you have any mistakes.
So mark them about 2 inches apart. It's about 2 inches. You want to make relief cuts right through here, like double relief cuts through there. Okay, now that we got all these marked off properly, they're all about 2 inches apart, which is good. Go ahead and just move over here and start marking off this front bit. If this is where the outside of the bumper would have been, let's mark it 3/8 inwards. From that line there, you go 5 3/4 inches. Alright, so let's go 5 3/4 inches. Make another line right there. 3 fucking hands for this one. 5 3/4 inches.
For this cut here, I actually had to open up a little bit larger.
Alright, now let's run a line down through here about a 1/4 inch in. Alright, now we're going to cut along this edge here, get rid of this little piece.
definitely want to wear some gloves for this part because that metal is sharp and hot.
Alright. Sorry, Jeep. Alright, now that you got this cut done, let's go ahead and start cutting all these other cuts down through here. Alright, now we need to remove this bolt down here. Okay, so the bottom part here, we're going to have to completely remove this. It's saying in the instructions, so let's go ahead and just cut down through here. Okay, now that we've got all our cuts made, let's grab some pliers and start plying all these down. Now I'm just going to clean this all up with this grinder here. Okay, now that we got all this hammered out, looking smooth, we're going to make some cuts in here. Don't cut through these pin welds, cut either above them or below them, but don't cut through them because they are, you know, still holding the part of the truck together at least. Cut there. About 2 inches down is about there. 2 inches down is about there. About there. Nick this fucking bit off right here, like that. So, let's go ahead and do that. Now, use your big hammer and smash these in. I don't know what this drip is coming from. She's bleeding. She's unhappy. Come on, old girl. We'll stow her.
I definitely recommend cutting and hammering this part in here for anybody that's running larger tires. Does not matter if you're doing the fender flares or not.
Where's water coming from? Alright, that's looking pretty good right there. That actually saved a lot of room. Okay, now we're going to cut out this piece here. Make sure you do not cut out the tab where your bumper bolts back onto, or you won't be able to bolt your bumper back on. Duh. So, make sure it's in front of the tab there. And let's cut this bit out. Glasses on. Please use a lot of safety with this cutoff wheel. Eye protection, thick gloves, long sleeve shirt, minimum. Now, turn it up a little bit. Okay, so supposedly now, all the cutting is complete. Let's go ahead and try and test fit this flare on. Alright, run out of daylight and fast. So now that I got all the cuts complete, let's go ahead and test fit this, see if it fits. Looks like it's fitting nicely. No problems. Yep, that's going to be a good fit there. Alright. So that came out all nice. Since I'm losing daylight really fast and this thing's apparently got some kind of water leaking coming from here, I'm just going to let it sit overnight before I go ahead and hit it with the sealant. Okay, you got all these little paint chips going on in here. You definitely want to sand that down so it doesn't get worse than it is now. So I'm going to hit it with some sandpaper, maybe the grinder a little bit more, and then I'll apply some seam sealer to it. You're definitely going to have to use the seam sealer in areas in the front and a lot of areas in the rear. But spots like this on the fender, I'd recommend using Krylon Rust Tough paint. So, be careful. Always have safety glasses and try not to point this damn thing towards your face. And now I'm going to apply some of the seam sealer along this edge here, cover up all the open metal. The inner cuts here, I definitely recommend using a lot of the seam sealer. Good. Go over here and get this bit right here. That's all it really needs, you know. Bam. Let this dry. Then we can put the splash guard back in. Okay, let's put the splash guard back in here. Line up the holes. Push that one back in. Put this one back in. This one back here. one more right here. There we go. Okay, so those tabs are back in there. Okay, now to tuck this all the way into here, it suggests using a heat gun, heat it up till it's real pliable, and then stuff it in there. So I'm just going to start stuffing it in there right now, and what's not pliable will heat up. So this bit here will heat up. Go. Alright. Just going to make it a little bit more warm so I get this whole line back up. Perfect. So, inner well's back in. On to the next step. Alright, now just hold this up into place, make sure it fits properly. Got it exactly where you want it. And then mark your holes out. Alright, there we go. Now at this point you can either start drilling holes directly in here, or what I'm going to do is hit it with some tape so that way it doesn't chip the paint. And then I'll remark it. Remark it. Alright, perfect. Now I can drill those holes. Okay, you can either start drilling the holes out or you can use a punch tool. I don't have a good punch tool, so I'm going to use what I do have and just Alright, sorry the memory card went full, so yeah, I drilled out these last 2 holes. Same thing, real easy. Now, let's go ahead and start taking this tape off. At this point, you could hit it with some more of that sealant just to keep these holes nice. That's what I'm going to do. Okay, this kit came with 4 different bags. One with all the big bolts that you'll see from the outside and a tool to use that for. A bag full of spacers and a bag full of like a bunch of miscellaneous stuff. And here's some retainer clips. These might actually be the clips that you could use for your splash guard. I didn't see this until just now. It didn't mention the instructions that we gave you a bunch of these, so maybe these are for something else later. We'll find out. But open up this bag for miscellaneous stuff, and it'll have 2 smaller washers that are smaller than these. Alright, these 2 washers here are smaller than these washers by quite a bit, as you can see. So these smaller washers go in the very, very, very front hole here. So let's just go ahead and line this up. Put this into here. Kind of screw it down. You got that one started. Make sure you save this piece for the other side, because there's only 2 of these. And then these, the larger ones, you could use for the rest of the holes throughout. And these simply are just going in here like this. So on and so forth. Alright, now that you got all these bolts in here finger tight, let's go ahead and snug them down. Help if I had a fucking battery in here. Just holding the other side with my finger and making it all the way tight down. Yeah, right here. Whoa. Alright, so these bolts just go into these holes. There's no backing to these. There's nothing that actually holds it on, so that's kind of new to me. I thought there'd be like nuts on the other side or something, but no, you just bolt this damn thing on there. So lining it back up is not as easy as I thought it was going to be. I thought I was just going to line back up no problem. So I get this one in. There we go. Got one started. Okay, once you got that first one started in there, take your time finessing the rest into place. You really have to finesse it into place, man. Doesn't just like slap right on. This bolt down here ain't even fog coming close. So I'm going to leave a big gap in here because there's still a trim piece that I'm going to put on to keep the paint somewhat protected. Alright, one of the final pieces is this rubber trim piece here. It does not specify which way this is supposed to go on there. So kind of mess around with it, play with it, see which way you like it. And I'm going to have this particular end and this way, if that helps you.
This is how the instructions say to install this trim piece on the front. For the rear, it recommends installing it off the vehicle, which was much easier.
Okay, I was struggling on the other side, maybe because it's my first try, but this side seems going on a lot easier. Just using the flat side here and pushing it down in, like this. Oh, too far in. Tighten it up. Tighten this side up. There we go. And then use this flat side, get it in the groove there. Make sure it goes around. Just push, keep pushing it in. Seems pretty easy. Alright. My one last little tip there for you guys. We are all done with this front. That weather stripping had some 3M tape on it, but it'd be impossible to pull that off. Looking clean, looking nice. Come under here. Yeah, it looks nice under here. Can't even tell on this side. Alright, the last little screw to put on here is going to be right down in here. Let's go ahead and drill a hole about right here. Oh cool, I just busted that off. Awesome. There we go. There we go. Now we can put the tire back on.
I have 1.5-inch wheel spacers on there, and those tires are 245, 75, 16, and it has a 2-inch budget boost lift from Rusty's Off-Road.